Hi all, I'm Libby, proud captain of Millwall Lionesses. Thank you to our Millwall fan show from the No One Likes Us Talking team for sponsoring me this year. Make sure you give them a listen like I do. Or even better, why not sponsor a Lioness while you're at it like they do? Thank you always for your continued support.
This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
Hi, I'm Bethany Warren, and you are joining me to listen to the podcast of our Millwall fan show with the No One Likes Us Talking team and hosted by Eamon Barkley, which is available every Friday at 8 p.m.
Hi, it's Friday night. I'm your host, Eamon Barkley, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of James Kelly, Patricia Maslin, and George, the Lampoon Lampy.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Well, James, how are the evolving COVID regulations affecting you at home and work? Anything new or different?
Evening, guys. Not particularly, no. Just still working from home. We were meant to go back at some point, but that's obviously been put on the back burners for now. So, yeah, business as usual. Just cracking on with it, really.
And how are you coping with the feel of 6 at the moment? Because that is a bit difficult in that house of yours, isn't it?
Not particularly, no. It's fine at the moment. Just adhering to the rules as best as we can, and just taking it one day at a time. That's all you can do, really, in these weird times.
That's true. Pat, I see there's a new loyalty card out this week, and that's something you've been very much at the forefront of being identified. How's that for you?
I think Millwall missed a trick here. £40 is absolutely ridiculous. If they were really going to roll in funds, they needed to go to £500 or even £1,000 and offer bigger benefits to everyone. I think it's a joke, the one they've done, actually.
Well,
I have signed up to it.
Well, we'll hope that Steve is listening and he takes note of what you said. Perhaps they can offer a gold-plated one for you, Patricia, and those that can. Anyway, on from there. And George, the bowl season nearly over, and what success you've enjoyed as a trio of bowlers, and this has been shown on social media and everywhere. I think it's amazing how you've covered it.
Well, that's a bit. Yes, it's a bit boastful, but no, I'm gonna play it down a bit. It was very good. I enjoyed it immensely. It was unexpected, but. Yes, that's about as much as I want to say about it, really. But I would like to talk about the subject that Pat mentioned later on in the show, the loyalty card. I think she's made some
It's not on the schedule, George, but there you go.
I know it is, I would like to deviate at some point.
Would you? OK, we'll deviate now so we get it out of the way. Please?
You'd like me to deviate now, would you?
I'll cut it out if we run out of time.
That's not very...
No,
that's
it's
all
important.
I can do.
It's important. We should talk about it.
Well, why don't you say this beforehand?
Okay, go on then.
Go on then, George.
Well, only that I very much agree with Pat that there was a big groundswell of opinion that supporters wanted to help the club, in offering money. I even had a guy phone up the old supporters phone and said he would like to pay £20 a month if he could, arrange, if Millwall could arrange it.
But why aren't they phoning up the club or Millwall Supporters Club or the
I don't know.
Liaison officer? Do you tell them that, though, George?
Of course I do.
Good,
I direct them all to the right place.
Yeah.
But, as I say, there was this great big groundswell, and Pat was doing her bit, and lots of other supporters, and I think she's right. I think Millwall have missed a really big trick here. It should have cost quite a bit more money, and there should have been vast more, bits added onto it to make it worthwhile. And I think Pat's on the money. I know I agree with her quite often, but I think she's really, Millwall have missed a trick. I know they may have been stuck between a rock and a hard place. Could they ask for a lot of money at a difficult time for people? Well, I'd understand that, but I think £40 was far too low.
OK, well, I think we need to get that message in to Steve straight away, George. Put it in writing, and that'll be a good job well done. Tonight, we welcome a man whose hands were safer than many that have stood between the sticks at Millwall. He had two predecessors who had won the hearts of Millwall faithful. Alex Stepney, who went on to gain great honours in the game, and Laurie Leslie, who he replaced. In training, he dived around on a cinder pitch to brace himself for the vigours of playing at the Den, and has held the belief that if you could play at the Den in front of big crowds, then you could play anywhere. He started his playing career at Chelmsford City, where he is shown as having scored 2 goals. Interestingly, he never repeated that feat elsewhere. He joined Millwall in 1967, made 339 second-tier appearances with us before he went, and was not sent, to Coventry, who were in the top flight in the August of 1975. Sadly, his career was short-lived, in the Midlands through injury, and after just 31 outings for the Sky Blues, his playing days were over. He went on to manage 4 sides in Norway and Sweden, and subsequently scouted for a number of clubs, most recently Everton. Whilst at Millwall, he was Player of the Year, featured in the PFA Team of the Year twice, and was called up by England. There is also a book on the way, I hear. It is that man that joins us from afar in Norway this evening. Welcome, Brian King.
Hello, nice to speak to you.
And lovely to speak to you.
Good.
And the guys might even say hello too. You never know.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, George. Hello, James.
That's a bonus and a half, isn't it? Brian, before I let you off the panel, or let you off to the panel, should I say, you scored 2 goals for Chelmsford. Can you let us know how you managed that?
Penalties.
Oh, they were penalties,
wow.
were you? Okay. So you was a good penalty taker as well.
Not really. Just got pushed into it and ended up sticking them one in the right hand side and one in the left, I think. It's a long time ago.
But the memory still has it, and that's what counts.
Sorry, what's your name again?
Bert. Yeah, Bert on a bad day.
No one else remembers it.
That's it. James.
Evening, Brian. James here.
Good evening.
Evening. Quickly, how did your transfer from Chelmsford City come about? And also, what were your thoughts ahead of coming to Millwall?
Well, I was playing for Chelmsford. We played in a thing called the Essex Professional Cup final, and we played Southend United at Southend. And apparently there were a couple of managers there. I've been playing quite well. And Bill Nicholson was there, and Benny Fenton was there, and Ron Tyndall from Portsmouth. And I got wind that Spurs or Millwall were preparing an offer. And anyway, I was only part-time at the time, so I went home, and then I got a call from the club, Chelmsford. They said that both Spurs and Millwall wanted to speak to me. And our captain at the time was a guy called Peter Shreves. I think you remember Peter. He was manager of Tottenham.
Yeah.
He's been involved with quite a few clubs, and he was playing for Chelmsford at the time. And he sort of briefed me a little bit on it. He said, as our centre-half, Peter Collins was also in the frame to go to Tottenham. I think Bill wanted to take the pair of us. I know that the fee was about £7,500, I think, for the pair of us, I think. It was probably 7,000 for him and 500 for me. But anyway, I thought, well, you know, Spurs, fantastic club. Millwall also, but playing in the second flight. I then got a call from Shrevesy, and he knew a fella playing for Millwall called Kenny Jones.
Ah.
And he said to me about Alec had gone, Laurie Leslie was there. And he also told me about Tottenham. He said, look, if you're going to go to Tottenham, this was in 1967. Pat Jennings had only been there a couple of years, was taken over from Bill Brown. He said it might be an hard job getting in the first team there, as certain players that Spurs found out. Run Millwall past me, and I thought, well, sounds good. It sounds like I might get a chance, you know. And sure enough, I got a call from Bill Nick first, and then I got a call from dear old Benny. But the thing was, Benny had called from a phone box just about 400 yards from our house. And he said, this Benny Fenton, manager Millwall, very interested in you. We made an offer to Chelmsford. How would you feel about me coming and have a chat? So my dad was there. He said, well, we're all open tomorrow. He said, no, he said, I'm down the end of your road. He said, I know where you live. He said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I said, well, we're expecting Bill Nick in about 2 hours. He said, don't worry about that. We'll get it all done before he comes. So we arrived at the house, and he had this big bunch of flowers for my mum, so we were Millwall supporters straight away. And we sat and we talked, and he spelled it out for me that Alec had been sold, Laurie had come in. I knew a Laurie Leslie, of course, because he was at West Ham and played for Scotland. But then I said, well, fair enough, I've got to talk to Bill Nick, but we just sort of move on and see what happens. So I spoke to Bill Nick. Yeah, it was great. He's a great man, Bill Nicholson, and explained to me exactly what the position was. I'll probably be reserve at Spurs for the next 15 years. But I decided on Millwall, and I signed the contract at my house with Benny and Gordon Borland. And, well, in the contract, of course, was a season ticket for me to travel up.
Oh.
Because I used to come from Stansted to Liverpool Street to Whitechapel to New Cross Gate. So that's how it all started. And really, I suppose I was lucky enough, got in the side. During that pre-season, Benny had signed Dennis Burnett, he'd signed Keith Weller, Derek Posse, myself, and then Alan Dorney and Barry Kitchard both stepped up. So he was looking to build a new side when Brian Snowden and Len Julians and Laurie Leslie was a great help to me. He was a great goalkeeper, brave as they come.
Yeah,
taught me a lot, and I really appreciated the work he done with me. I didn't appreciate pre-season around Greenwich Park, but especially when you're coming in a van from Sidcup. We used to train at Peak Freens, a biscuit place there.
Oh, yeah.
But Jesus Christ, if you never got back to the van, you had to make your own way back to Sidcup. But it was a great learning curve, and I was lucky enough, really. I'd only been there a couple of months when I got a chance to play in the League Cup. I didn't know I was playing until I got the ground. So I didn't have a chance to think about it much. We won 5-1. Yeah. Then Laurie played on the Saturday against QPR and got injured again. So that meant I was going to make my league debut. That was a Tuesday night against Blackpool, who were at the time top of the league.
Yeah.
It was a great night. I think it was about 19,000 there. Good atmosphere. As I've always said, the Old Den was a wonderful place to play.
Yeah, not many usually say that, do they?
Well, not opposition, though.
No, not the opposition, no.
And nor the players who make rickets there regularly. It's not a place for faint hearts, but it was the crowd is wonderful. I played there, I think there was 36,000 when we played Leicester in the Cup. I mean, the atmosphere was unbelievable. I played at Anfield, I played at Old Trafford and all the big grounds. There's nothing compared to that there. I mean, the atmosphere at the Old Den was electric. The pitch was crap, but the, we had a groundsman who couldn't grow grass. It was as simple as that. But it was just a great place to play and a wonderful club to play for.
Hey, speaking of Laurie Leslie there, you lot used to give him the runaround though, didn't you, when he was your coach? When you used to go away to hotels and that, you hiding behind the sign when you come back too late, and yeah. I've heard all about you, Brian.
Where'd you get all that from? How old are you, Pat? How old are you?
Too old.
Don't mention her age.
She's a lot older than she looks, Brian.
Listen, don't mention my age, by the way.
And what's all that about you falling out the window of the hotel with a few of the other players when you was trying to watch a courting couple?
Well, I didn't fall out the window, but it was the radiator come off the wall. There was about 8 of us stood on it. The radiator come off the wall at Preston. I think it was a Bull and Royal in Preston I3. And we used to go up on the Friday night. I mean, no expense spared at Millwall them time. Mickey Percy used to put his hand in his pocket. 4-star hotel. Well, the hotels we used to stay in, 3 of the stars had usually fell off the wall. But it was. Well, I don't know whether it was an embarrassing evening for the people concerned, but for us, like trying to watch through the window, it was when the radiator come off the wall and the water went everywhere.
Let me get you back to, Eamon's printed out the names that you played with, and I obviously saw all these guys, but Weller, Posse, Boland, Alder, Dunphy, Bridges, Burnett, Dorney, Cripps, Gilchrist. Who was the leader out of all of those guys that you played with? Who was the guys that stood out the most?
Well, when I joined, of course, I was in the reserves, and we played in the combination or the London Midweek League, which we won. We won that league, I think, 3 years on the trot. But it was a good learning curve to get to know the boys and whatever. But players like Keith Weller, who came as a reserve player from Tottenham, same with the Posse. But they matured into really good players. I mean, they were sold for a lot of money, and rightly so, because the pair of them really helped build Millwall up from when I joined anyway. But, you had Harry Cripps, who was just a bubbly fella, full of energy, Harry. Great motivator. Dennis Burnett was a cool head, and we used to call him Smiley because he never smiled. But he was a good player. I mean, he'd had experience with West Ham. He'd won the Cup Winners' Cup at West Ham. Of course, my roommate, who was my roommate for the whole time I was at Millwall, the Kitch, Barry Kitchener. Who was a great friend, And it was funny, when I was at Chelmsford in 1965, we played an international tournament at Southend, funnily enough, against Southend. And it was arranged by Southend. And we played Millwall. Chelmsford City played Millwall. And Kitch played in that team. And I played for Chelmsford. And it's funny that 2 years later, we're going to be teammates.
And sharing room partners as well.
And roommates. I tell you what, the times I had to tell him to stick his head out the bloody window because he always had a fag. He did like a fag, Kitch. I mean, I had to check him every night just to see if he hadn't fell asleep with it in his mouth. But,
you saying that, I've got a picture of him advertising cigarettes. Yeah.
Hey,
wow.
I think we played Norwich City one day, and I'm behind him. He was then captain, and I was stood behind him, and I said to him, "You got a tab behind your ear." He's got half a fag behind it. He said, he turned around and said, "Oh, that's for half time." I mean, you won't get away with that today. But no, there were some great names. I mean, Barry Bridges was a great buy, good experience. Played for England, Chelsea. Just slotted in with the lads. And who else had we got? Eamon. Eamon was Eamon.
Oh,
not you, Eamon, but
the two
Eamons.
Yeah.
Always a problem, Eamon. He was on the verge of being. What can I say? He was always. always antagonising people, to which he'd invariably get smacked around the head at some stage. But he was, again, a very good player. Gordon Bolland, another one who was bought for £10,000 from Charlton. Was it Charlton or was it Orient he come from? But he was... Sorry?
I think it was the Orient.
Oh, was it? But 10 grand. I mean, 10 grand. What a good buy he was.
Yeah.
Great striker of the ball. And we had young Doug Alder. We had Illy, little Gordon Hill. I mean, you know, Benny bought him from Slough Town for a set of kit, I think. You know, do you know what? He used to tuck balls inside the post when we were having shooting and all this stuff. Cool. He used to drive me nuts. He did. I could never get near anything. And
Brian, before you shoot on with passing old Gordon Hill, what was behind the story that was in old Eamon's book? It's Only a Game, and the TV adaptation, and you were a key figure in this about him and the Lawn Tennis Association.
Well, actually, he was a good tennis player, Gordon. Don't get me wrong, he was a very good tennis player. Played at a very high level at school and when he was at U. But during pre-season, we used to train at Peak Freens. They had these 4 or 5 grass courts, and we'd always end up having a game of tennis, some of the lads, whether it be head tennis or real tennis. And this particular day, he decided to play Harry. Now, you play Harry, you know he's going to cheat. You know he's going to... And every time Gordon hit a magnificent serve, Harry just walk away and say out. And of course, Illy's going mad by this stage, you know. You can't be having this all the time. So Harry eventually beats him, which, well, you couldn't have got a bet on William Hills for him. I mean, Harry would have got slaughtered anywhere. But we went away to Bournemouth. And this was one of our exotic pre-season trips. We ended up at Bournemouth, Norfolk Hotel. This is where Laurie used to have his. He used to lay and wait for us. He used to lay pitch black, be home at midnight. The lads would start rolling in about 12:30, 1:15. He was like a commando. There's about 8 of us coming across the lawn like commandos. And the worst thing was, we thought we were doing really well, and all of a sudden the floodlights had come on. And of course, Laurie's gone, "Caught you, what are you looking for?" And someone had shouted out, "Loose change, we dropped our money on the way out. We're looking to pick it up." Get in. So you got fined about £5 or something. But they played, Hilly and Harry played a game of tennis in the reception of this hotel. 2 sofas, no rackets. Now you work that out. No ball. And of course, Harry's serving, and Hilly's got all the actions, and Hilly's gone 15 love to me. Harry's gone, "Don't be so silly. That's gone. It's nowhere near in." And honest to God, they played a game here, and at the end of it, we didn't know whether he was taking the mickey out of us or we were taking the mickey out of him, because I just couldn't put it into words, but Eamon did, and eventually there was a television thing as well, Only a Game.
And who was the person who rang him up and told him that they wanted to interview him then?
Sorry, that was me.
The truth comes before us. Oh.
Well, you know, it used to happen to all of us, and it's just the fact that I was Charlie Murray or somebody from the Bournemouth Echo. And wondered if Gordon could be in the foyer. There's a photographer coming, and if he could have all his tennis gear on. Of course, all the lads are having the dinner and everything, and Illy's all done up, ready for Wimbledon, and all the lads are going, "Well, you're coming out, you're going to get changed." All right. He said, "This fella's coming at 8 o'clock. Yeah, but it's 8:45. Well, maybe he'll turn up, maybe I've got the time wrong." I mean, we all went out and come back about 10, 11:15. He's still sitting there, Gordon.
Bless him.
I mean, we got to a stage where we just had to put him straight. He was a fresh-faced boy coming from non-league football who turned out to be the most wonderful footballer. No surprise his nickname was Merlin, because he was a magician. He really was.
Great player. Speaking of books, Brian, we know you've got one coming out, and we're debating what you're calling it. We thought Life of Brian, Confessions of a Goalkeeper.
No, it's actually called The Lion's King.
Okay.
And it's...
Pat's typing that now. Hold on.
The Lion's King.
I'm not typing anything.
It's going to be around... It's about 330 pages with pictures as well, and it's about my life when my mum and dad moved out of London and went to Stansted to live just after the war, and it just tells the story of me when I grew up. Funny stories, plenty of them in it, and really all the different things that unfolded for me when I got to go to Chelmsford, and I played against... At that time, the Southern League was a very good league. I mean, a lot of old pros in there. And I remember we played Hereford United in one game, and they had probably one of the greatest footballers that ever played in Great Britain, and that was John Charles. He was player manager. Oh, blimey. He played for Juventus and Leeds. And,
yeah, of course he did. Yeah.
And while I was at Chelmsford, he actually tried to take me to Hereford, and when he was managing there. So, fantastic man. I mean, John Charles is, how many John Charleses are there? I mean, he goes in the same breath as Bobby Moore and Stanley Matthews, George Best, and it was an honour to play against them and meet him. And really, it just goes from there. And you need a little bit of luck here and there. I'd had a few knockbacks. I was told I was too small, funnily enough, when I was at school, which, fair enough, I was about 5'9". But there were a lot of goalkeepers about that size.
Only was about 5'7", wasn't he?
No. What, round his waist?
I'll have to cut that bit out.
I just spoke to him, actually.
Have you?
I spoke to him earlier. He's a very good friend of his family.
He won't.
We always have a laugh. And
he's lovely.
Hey, listen, when you talk about Millwall goalkeepers, Brian was a very, very good goalkeeper. I mean, he was one of the great kickers of a ball. Mind you, with them legs, he ought to. But he was an excellent goalkeeper in, as we say, the tradition of Millwall goalkeepers. So the book really is about my life and what happened in it. It took about just over a year. I met the guy who's writing it, and we're going to hopefully get it out before Christmas. And I hope that many Millwall supporters will enjoy it.
I'm sure they will.
I'm absolutely convinced they will.
I don't think we've had too many books written by former players from the 60s and 70s. I've been in the game, and I've kept in the game even after I finished playing. Right up until last year. I retired last year. That's 56, 57 years I've been in the game. So I've seen plenty, I've met plenty. I come back to Millwall sometimes, and when I've been introduced out on the pitch, I feel so humble when I go out there that people remember me. I mean, small kids. My granddad told me that you was a good goalkeeper, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, is there any other club that respects its players as much as you do down the Den or the New Den or whatever? If you can win those fans over, somebody said to me, win them over, you got them for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's true.
And as I get older, the years are ticking on, and I can still play golf, which I do quite regularly. And as I say, I've been involved with Brian Horn in his business side.
Yeah.
Where he takes teams away for pre-season, and I help him with that, with Scandinavian teams. I put him in touch with teams and sporting directors and things. And the last couple of years, I've been to Dubai with him. I've been to Portugal with him. And I think it's the 10th year we've had the Atlantic Cup in Portugal, which is an achievement on its own. So he works hard, Brian, and he deserves everything he gets out of the game. I know he does a bit of comparing and stuff
he does. He does a good job of it and all. Yeah.
I've told him a couple of times I've got to curb that swearing down, but
yeah.
But it's funny though when I meet him and his dad. I mean, you know, hello Brian, hello Brian, hello Brian. You know, but I mean, there's three of us, two with an I and one with a Y.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm glad I've kept the friendship up. And I actually worked with Brian when he was about 16 or 17, when George Graham and Theo were, when George was manager. George asked me to go down and work with the goalkeepers. And that was Paul Sanson, who was the first team goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And then Brian was with was in the youth team then. So I enjoyed that. I'd come back and I worked 2-3 months with them, and I enjoyed it. I like George and I like Theo. I was so sorry when Theo passed away, and another great character in South London.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
But as I say, going back to your question, who could I pick out from Millwall? I mean, they were all. You know, that year we missed out on promotion. I mean, I know Keith wasn't in the side then, but you'd have to say during Keith's period at Millwall, he was a leader because of his performances.
Yeah.
And the same with the Poss. Ketch and Alan Dorney were absolute rocks at the back.
I had the biggest crush on Alan Dorney when I was young. I had to put that in.
Well, let's skip over that, Brian.
Yeah. James, James Dorney, when you're listening tomorrow, remember to send that news to your dad.
James knows this. He's already got the court order.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a coronavirus test tomorrow. But no, it was a great balance of players that made up those 11 positions that played every Saturday, and I mean, that season was a wonderful season. So unlucky because we'd had a good run the year before or 2 years before when we were at the top as well, but injuries and you know you didn't have a big squad in those days, and if you missed key players, it had a big effect on the team. Not like today. Today. I mean, clubs have got 25, 30 players, and you know you can rotate and everything else. Where our team, I know in the book, I know they found out exactly how many matches we played together. You know, like Brian Brown, Harry Cripps, Dorney, Kitch, and me. I mean, it's about 170 games. I think I played about 180. I never missed a game.
No, not like today.
It's not when you see people falling over as though they've been shot. No, and there again, I suppose, when you think what we played with and, you know, what we had to go through. Yeah, I had the incident at West Brom when I lost 4 teeth up there. Jeff Astle, the old England centre forward.
Oh, yeah.
Willie Henderson, the Scottish player, had a corner. The corner coming. I went up. I caught it, but I had a couple of bodies in front of me, and I went over the top, and the ball dropped. And as it came out of my hands, I went after it again and fell on it. But Jeff Astor was just in the process of going to volley the ball. Instead, he volleyed my mouth. And, anyway, when an old Jack come on, he had this great big sponge. It was like a breeze block. You know those breeze blocks they put on houses? And he used to have a 10-litre bucket. When this sponge was in there, it was empty. You know. And if you got a kick on the ankle, you used to put it on the back of your neck. And you'd say to him, Jack, it's my ankle, mate. It's my ankle. And he'd say, well, I said, what'd you do that for? He said, well, it'll stop you thinking about your ankle.
That's
so,
for sure.
Anyway, I played it's only about 3 or 4 minutes before half time. Went in the dressing room, fearful state. I'm laying on the treatment table in the middle of the dressing room, and we had a doc, dear old Doc Boomler, his name was Doc Boomler, and he came in and had a look at the teeth, and there were 2 broke off and 2 right out. And I had this terrible cut in the lip, so he said we'd better put some stitches in the lip. And he started to put the stitches in. So I said to him, Doc, you got to stop, mate. You got to stop. He says, is it hurting? I thought you was a goalkeeper. He said, I thought you'd be brave. I said, Doc, listen to me talking to you. You've just sewn me lip to me tongue. Honest to God, he sewn me lip to me tongue. Now Benny says, cut them stitches out. Give him a brandy, he said. Give him a brandy. So I says to Benny, do I swallow it or do I swallow it? He said, get it down here, you'll be all right. And I think we drew 1 each up there that night. But if I'd have had a breath test going out, I'd have lost my driving licence.
There'd have been trouble at Mill.
Oh,
Brian,
there'd have been trouble at the Hawthorns.
Brian, it's been brilliant to have you on this evening, and you've got to come back, because we haven't touched half of the stuff that we've got on the list here. And when's that book due out, Brian?
Well, we hope it's now all the writing's finished.
Okay.
So now that's got to be set up and posted, as far as I know. Yeah. Then the pictures have got to be sorted.
Yeah.
And then it'll be off to the printers, and as soon as it's ready, I'll be sitting out by that cafe, signing a few books.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there ain't too many people near it at the moment.
No,
but you'll be there on your own, you silly.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. But I'm sure if we can muster a few down a pub somewhere close to
it could be an event of immense happening.
Well,
anyhow, that thing about Jeff Burnage. Before I get you going, Jeff Burnage said to send his regards, and then he said, and then remind Brian of that time we were down in deepest Essex at some event. He didn't say what it was. And he said, and ask him if he remembers when the locals came up to him, and you were standing there as well, and the locals said, are you George Best? Not to you, but to Jeff. And Jeff said, yes. I said, it must have been that Northern Irish accent that you've got then.
George
and he
Best.
said, no. He said, I had long hair then.
He did, actually, and it wasn't white.
So that was a bonus, wasn't it?
But to be fair, listen, let's get the story straight. George Best, Jeff Burnage, come on now. Hey, just tell Jeff, when he falls out of bed, he'll wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. He does that a lot, though. That's the trouble.
Well,
Brian.
Absolutely lovely to speak to you.
It's been brilliant.
Been great, mate.
And you'll have to come back.
Well, as I said to you, up to now, I've only played 3 games for Millwall.
Yeah, we got another 336 to get through.
At least.
Yeah. Brian, brilliant.
Okay.
We'll be back in touch, and we look forward to you coming on again.
Lovely.
Good night, Brian. Take care.
No one likes us, we don't care.
Yeah. We'll be there.
Bye.
Say no more. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was something and a half, wasn't it? Well, we'll take a break there and we'll listen to that young Kai Bennett.
Hey, I'm Kai from Millwall Fan TV. On Millwall Fan TV, I cover pre-match predictions, post-match analysis, and a bit of full-time reaction when we can go to the games. Also, quite a few X-Lounge chats on my YouTube, actually, as we speak right now. I've got some Martin Wolford, Scott Barron, that just a couple to name a few. So do it for the love of Millwall. Absolutely love Millwall, and let's hope we can push on next year and make the playoffs. And if you could subscribe to Millwall Fan TV, that'd be absolutely amazing, and hopefully we can follow the journey together. Comedy Lines.
I'm Eamon Barclay, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us talking team of Patricia Maslin, James Kelly and George Lampy. Next up, we'll hear from Jeff Burnage and Mr. Millwall Lionesses regarding the Lionesses' first ever defeat in the league they were in last season to Hutton Ladies on Sunday.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is not the easiest report to give this week. The Lionesses went into the game without skipper and No One Likes Us talking sponsor Libby Stubbs through injury, and American midfielder Lisa Miranda was also likewise ruled out. Stand-in captain Shamari did a very good job and was her usual lightning-fast self at the back. That league match last Sunday with Hutton was a great spectacle for another really good crowd of live football-starved Millwall fans who gave the team very boisterous, very fair support throughout that game. It was a great experience. The 5-4 defeat turned on a highly controversial incident when our centre-forward Abby Dell, whose hat-trick had put the Lionesses 4-2 ahead, was put out of the match when through on goal by a challenge which absolutely demanded a red card but was let off with a yellow. Video footage of this incident clearly shows that this is not an exaggeration. Shannon Drew, last year's top scorer, had scored a brilliant fourth goal. Everything looked great. But Hutton had not lost a league match since 2018-19 season and were then ultimately too big and powerful for our Lionesses, a rather small but skillful team, very much in development. Only 2 of our starting 11 were over 20, and it showed, particularly after the controversial incident which left Abby on the floor for several minutes with a very nasty facial injury. However, Hutton seized the moment and shrewdly bombarded our girls with free kicks and corners, which our much smaller team did not cope with well. What would have been a disappointing enough 4-4 draw was ultimately made unbearable when in the dying moments Hutton scored the winner.
So perhaps there's a bit more time for the wounded Lions to recover. Nonetheless, this is 2 defeats on the spin. The previous against higher league opposition in the Cup. So at least it would seem the Lionesses know the team that they will have to defeat in this league. What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a shame after that big defeat in the FA Cup against, 8-0. I mean, a team quite a few divisions higher. You'd think a win would have, they much needed that. It sounded a really entertaining game. I read a few of the reports and I heard about Abby Dell getting injured. It seems really serious and it's just such a shame. I mean, she got that hat-trick before she came on, and I'm sure we wouldn't have lost if she'd stayed on the pitch. But it's just a case of, rub yourself down, you've got to start all over again, basically.
I was going to say, can I say that you'll probably turn around and say, I agree with Pat?
No. I mean, I do say that quite often, don't I? I'm just not going to agree with you on anything, Eamon, that's all. I just think the Lionesses have had a bit of 2 very difficult games. You wouldn't have expected them to have beat London, I mean, because of where they are. And this team has obviously been a very good team. They seem to be ahead of Millwall in their progress as a football team. And the girls are just a little way behind that. And even then, they're hanging in there. They're doing really well. So I think it all bodes well for the future for the young Lionesses. So, yeah, no disgrace at all in these last 2 results.
James?
Yeah, no shame in the loss, but, they happen. Just about dusting yourself down, really, and trying to put it right the next week.
No, I hope they gather themselves together. There is a game at St Paul's on Sunday at 2 p.m. where Millwall FC Romans take on East End Phoenix, who they put 4 past home and away last season and took all the points to suffice. Supporters are welcome amid COVID restrictions, so get yourself down to St Paul's. They're in Rotherhithe at 2 o'clock. There is a restriction on the amount of people that can go in, but I'm sure there'll be sufficient room for anyone that wants to go down there and watch the Millwall FC Romans take on the Phoenix team from the East End. Our final guest this evening looks like having a tough time coming as his team and his volunteers look ahead to what appears to be the tightening of restrictions in light of a second wave of the COVID-19 virus. His organisation, the Millwall Community Trust, has featured in a Millwall No One Likes Us Talking 5-part series that commenced 4 weeks ago, with the final episode being aired this Tuesday. This has been a well-received series, with many people being quite unaware of what the Trust actually does or not recognising the width of what they do. Once again, it's great to welcome the Chief Executive of Millwall Community Trust. Hello, Sean Daly.
I am. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Evening, Sean.
Evening, Sean.
Good evening.
And it is tough times ahead, but as recent history shows over a 4-year period, there are some impressive stats, delivering 30,000 sessions to the community, saving the public purse $13.77 million. These are figures from an independent organisation. 130 schools receiving both education and physical activities. And I could go on with supporting disabled adults and children, people who struggle at schools, the elderly, etc., etc., etc. But there's one landmark, and that was where you secured the first ever sponsorship with a 5-year deal with Husky. How did you get that deal with Husky through the door, Sean?
Well, I was talking to the commercial manager, Stuart Locke, at the club, really about trying to bring in unrestricted funding for the trust. So I went to see him and sort of said, look, is there any opportunity to speak to some of the sponsors? I don't think they know what the Community Trust is. Love to do a presentation to them. And he said, well, at the moment, we're talking about getting a new kit sponsor, Husky Chocolate. So I asked for an opportunity to speak to him. A week later, Husky came over to have a chat with Steve Kavanagh and Stuart Locke. And I just did a presentation, really, about the trust, the work it does in the community, the regeneration that's going to happen in the area, and how important the trust is to the club that's probably not seen. You know, they see 22 people playing football on a Saturday, but it's the work behind the scenes. Took him for a tour of the Lions Centre, took him to a school to have a see us in action in the school, and got a call the next day to say that they'd like to roll in, when they sponsor the club, could they roll in the community scheme, because the ethos of what the Community Trust is doing is the ethos of what Husky is all about. And then, lucky enough, got the deal for 5 years.
That's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Sean, it's Pat. Hello. I actually missed the day with the guys when they all come down to see you at the Trust, but they all spoke so highly about you when they came back. Do you have sufficient financial support to continue with the Trust work? Or, if we go into lockdown again, how would you manage?
I think like every charity's been hit badly with COVID-19. I've seen a lot of my colleagues with other trusts and foundations where they rely on the club a lot. You know, they rely on their own club, and it's tight for some football clubs, especially in the lower leagues. But what we have managed to do is we become operational as from the 1st of July. I wanted to get those doors open as soon as possible. I know we've done loads of supporting stuff, you know, with emergency food packs and helping the NHS and stuff like that, but I needed to get operational and generate some revenue. So really, as from the 1st of July, we opened our doors up, tried to get as much as we could get going, got back into schools. And I'm not in a bad situation, I think, financially. I want to try not to lean onto the club. You know, the club have got their own issues. You know, it's tight for them. But it's managing budgets, really. I've got to manage it for the next couple of months, hopefully, get through that. and then hopefully we'll be cleared just around Christmas and we're going. But hopefully there will be no lockdown. But I just think it's managing the budgets. I feel sorry for lots of charities that have relied on things like the marathons and fundraisers and bike rides. That's the only income they've got coming in. But we've managed to be secure with the trustees and money that we've put away. So I think we'll be okay. We'll be fine. I'm sure we will.
Sean, it's George here. Hello, mate.
Hi, George.
It's important that, as the stats that Eamon read out regarding, the community and letting people realise what, the outcome is of all this. But what is your plans going ahead should, restrictions due to COVID become more imposing?
I think as a trust, we're very flexible. I think we showed that on the last lockdown. We changed the way that we supported the community, where boys and girls worked at food banks, deliveries, NHS work, using the Lion Centre as a resource place for the NHS and for homeless charities. So that could happen. If that comes down to a major lockdown, I think we will be flexible and we'll support the community that way. During this period, though, during lockdown and since we've become operational, we've really looked at how we deliver stuff. And I think we're in a better position now than we were in March. So, a lot of our stuff will be online. We can do virtual stuff. So we sort of prepared ourselves. There is going to be a lockdown at some time. How can we still engage the community? And I think our students, our AP, some of the people we work with will go virtual and go online and do stuff with them. Fitness programs online, but really what I want to do is get the boys and girls out working again, and myself out working again, helping the community. Working at a food bank, going doing deliveries. So we'll get up and get out and work for the community. But as the programs that we deliver, we're in a much better place that we can go and do virtual stuff with them.
Evening, Sean. James here.
Hi, James.
I also missed the day at the Lion Centre and St Paul's, but as the team have already touched upon, it sounded really good. What message or messages do we need to get out to the people and organisations in local communities that will assist you and in what you do both in and out of the pandemic?
We're always looking for sponsorship, people that can help us with funding and volunteering. So, I've got some great staff, very passionate about what they do. But if people are out there that are locked down on furlough and got skills around like media, around fundraising, that I'd love time and people to help us with that. Because that's their skills and they work for a media department but they're on furlough or they've been told they've been made redundant and they want to come and help us. That's the sort of people I'd like to try and invest within the community. Come and help us, upskill some of my staff, or just help us develop as a trust. Like I said before, we're always looking for donations, but I will think upskilling my workforce and helping our workforce could be more important because I know things are going to be very tight for people. There's going to be a lot of people made redundant this year, a lot of people not going back to jobs. So really what I want to say is that we're not going anywhere, the Community Trust. We're going to help the community whatever we can. But if people have got some time they can help us with, I think that would be very beneficial for us as a trust at the moment.
Fantastic. Well, the series that we've done with you, the episodes have raised some great listener figures and the latest one breaching the 2,000 mark. We want to continue to promote what you do and the final episode is out this Tuesday. Is there anything that you would like to say to our listeners?
I'd love people to come and visit the Trust. I came to Millwall Trust because I knew it had so much potential. We're in a very deprived area in some boroughs of Lewisham and Southwark. We've got a great resource, the badge of Millwall, and we've got to use it to inspire people. I'm very lucky at the moment, I've got a privilege of leading Community Trust with something I never thought I'd end up doing. I've been given that opportunity. I'd love people to come down and see what we do. I'd also love people and organisations to come to us as sort of like a one-stop place. If they've got issues or they think a football club could help them in some way, come to us. we'll never close the door on anyone. We'll see if we can support anybody in any way. That's really it. I'd love people to come and see what we do. Like every football club does what we do. I just think we're very special at the moment. We're a little club, Millwall, which people don't know about the work the Trust does. You know, things like Divert. There's only 2 or 3 of them in the whole country that we impact on the community. So that really, I think we've got great coverage from yourself, and I appreciate for all of that. But I'd love people to come down and come and see us. Come and see us to see what we do, and then I think they'll be quite surprised.
Yeah. So come on down. That's the bit. I think the key, Sean, is I always remember someone saying football is part of the solution, and in this case, the Millwall Community Trust, as our good friend Stan Godwin says, you're the jewel in the crown of Millwall Football Club in making that reality. So we're going to be with you, and we wish you all the best with your ventures. We look forward to hearing from you again, and we'll try and get some people down, as we've mentioned, that Millwall Football Club Romans are playing at St Paul's this Sunday at 2:00. So hopefully there'll be a few more coming along to that, as there's no game for the Lionesses. Sean, lovely to speak to you as always. We will hear from you back on the show soon. Thanks for joining us, and good night, mate.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
See you later, Sean. Take care.
Bye. Good night.
And with that, we'll take a break there and listen to the dulcet tones of Bethany Warren.
Bethany Warren here again. Thanks for listening to our show. Don't forget, Love Sport Radio is now mothballed pending change in current conditions. You can still listen, though, to music both online and on DAB. Podcasts are available on demand. Hopefully, we'll be back on the air with them when normality returns to the marketplace.
I'm Eamon Barclay, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia, the Loyalty Card Maslin, James, I'm at home still Kelly, and George, the Lampoon Lampy. Well, it finished a goal apiece at the Den last Saturday as the Lions faced last season's defeated playoff finalist Brentford. Jed Wallace got his first headed goal, and we gave a penalty away that sent Bart the wrong way by Bethany Warren's favourite player, Ivan Toney. So, Pat, what do you reckon?
Good all-round performance. Entertaining game. It's nice to see Romeo back. Brilliant run, stand the right wing there. And that 10-pass set-up where he took the shot from outside the box, absolutely brilliant. If that had gone in where he hit the post, I think we had most of the game. Once they got the penalty, it did seem to spur them on a bit. We were much better side second half. Pearce stood out. See, I'm at odds with Bradshaw, and you know this. I think he's lucky that there's no crowds there, because I think he could be feeling the wrath of some of them by now. That's enough said on Bradshaw. I think apart from the penalty, it was our game, and we should have edged that and perhaps won.
OK, James?
All in all, I think a positive point. As you said, they were last season's playoff runners-up, and to be honest with you, I can see them being up there this season. When Ben Rama came on, I know he came on with 20 minutes to go, but I think it's good that we managed to keep him quiet as long as we did, considering Brentford this evening just beat Fulham 3-0 in the League Cup. So I think, all round a good result, and one that we can take a lot of positives from. And going into Swansea on Saturday will be another tough test, but I think it's a good point to come out of.
George?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good game from our point of view. I think we were playing one of the best teams in the league, and they will have a good season, I think. This is going to be a rare moment because I totally disagree with Pat. I think Bradshaw finds himself very isolated in the formation that we play, and hence has a hard time because he nearly always has 2 men marking him. So I think that's why he looks like he's failing. I don't think he is. I just think he needs better support and better service. And I'm hoping he will, that will come about somehow. But at the system we play, I'm a little bit worried for the fella. He is isolated.
Yeah, of course, he was brought in by Neil Harris to fulfil a role in a traditional 4-4-2. So it must be a bit of a challenge for him. Nonetheless, there's views that from both ends of the poll, but overall, it weren't a bad game, and a point is better than nothing. I'm going to move on to this Saturday, where the Lions travelled to the Liberty Stadium to face Swansea, where we won by a single goal from Super Jed as the Rowett Revolution took hold back in November 2019, BC. That's before COVID. Sadly, Swansea fan Nucio Cantali was unable to join us to give a view from the opposition, but former Millwall transfer target Jamal Lowe has voiced his opinion, saying that we will go to the Liberty and find no goals coming our way. So, George, over to you.
Well, after what I've just said, I think there is despite Wallace getting a lovely header the other day in our football, and as Pat emphasised, we played some lovely stuff, I thought, at times. I think when you come into play Swansea, you're going to play a team of equally good footballers. They're third in the table. I think we will have a difficult game on our hands. I think it'll be a nice football match, but I worry about us at the top end of the attack. That's what my concerns are.
Patricia?
Well, I do know I was on the YouTube with Swansea a little while ago, and a lot of their supporters seem a bit worried about their forwards. They got 3 new players up front, and they don't seem to be gelling very well. That sort of raised my spirits. They've also got their coach who's been disciplined by the FA and misses the game as well. He grabbed someone around the throat. Millwall fans would have loved that. But, apart from that, I don't think the fans are happy with their team at the moment, and I think that could give us a win.
OK. James?
Yeah, Swansea have had a very good start to the season. They've won 2 of their 3 opening games, 7 points, third in the table. I think this will be our toughest game of the season so far. I know it's early doors, but again, this will be a very, very tough test for us. Hearing what Patricia just said about fans being not feeling too confident about Swansea at the moment, I'll be interested to see how they do without Ryan Brewster, because now obviously he's the one that got the goal against us back in June. He's obviously gone back to Liverpool, and there's the likelihood is that he's leaving on a permanent in before the window shuts. So I'm expecting a very tough contest, even as well. But it's definitely winnable for us.
Yeah, they've got 3 of their players out as well. Dander, Byers, and even Garrick might not be playing. So I think we could be in with a shot there.
Yeah, they got
good
some
time
injuries.
to go there.
Yeah, that's right.
OK. So, scores on the doors. George?
I think if we come away with a 1-1, that would be a fair result.
Patricia?
I had originally written down 2-2, but I think we're going to win this one 2-1.
Excellent. James?
I'm going to go with a very narrow 1-0 win.
Well, that's 2 wins, and as usual, George the draw. So we can live with that, can't we?
How's that fence feeling there, George?
Splintery.
Hey? Yeah. What, did you get one of your bowls stuck on your finger or something? OK, never mind. Well, enough of that. As we head towards the 16th of October, don't forget there's still transfer and loan activity beyond the 5th between the Premier League and the EFL. People are getting very excited about the 5th. The one thing to look out for on the 5th is who isn't in Premier League squads, because that's where potentially the loan game opens. But anyway, as the closing of the transfer window looms, we are asking for the thoughts of our panel with regard to our squad and potential targets as we return to rumours from behind the Millwall. Now, come on. George, what do you think? What are the rumours that you're hearing? And who do you think we ought to be getting hold of, or do we need to, in fact?
Well, I think with Parrott injured, and I think it's going to be for quite some weeks, we believe, don't we? We're not sure.
Couple of months.
Yeah. So, and I've already emphasised, I think we're weak at the front. I don't think Bavarson or Smith or, I think they all do a reasonable job for a short period of time. Centre forwards are like gold dust. You can't pick them out, and everybody would be after them. But I think that's an area we got to be looking at. Who? I'm afraid I'm not really sure who we could afford, but I think that's our weakest area and something we should try to put straight.
Okay, Patricia.
I know he's looking at Liam Miller from Liverpool at the moment, but I honestly think in this climate we're not going to afford anyone. It's going to be loanees that come in. I think a lot of fans are still hoping the door is open for Malumbi's return. I know he's played in a couple of cup games for Brighton, but I think that's just an appeasement from the manager because he said he wants to leave if he's not getting regular play. So we could actually see him coming back. Rowett has said he's happy with the squad he's got if he doesn't buy anyone new. And basically, I've got to the stage where I agree with him. I think this season we basically need to batten down and just not get relegated this season.
How about you, James?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, really, given the current climate. Again, if we can get Malumbi back, then that would be brilliant. I think if he's the difference between a mid-table finish and a playoff charge, I think we should really consider going for him on loan again, considering how he wanted to play regular first-team football. He doesn't seem to be doing that in the league. It seems to just be cup competitions. Played against Man United. Again, with Parrott injured, maybe even a striker as well. But if we don't get anyone in, it's not the end of the world. I still feel that this team's strong enough to compete at the top end of the league this season.
Yeah, I don't agree with Pat's, let's just button down the hatches and see if we can survive. I certainly don't agree with that. I mean, and also, I think Brighton bought somebody today. I don't know if the chap's a midfield player, but that would...
Well, yesterday that was, George.
Oh, was it? Oh, I thought it was today, sorry.
But George, we've not got the money to buy players.
No, I mean, I can't argue about that, but I was arguing about the point that you wanted to seem to batten down the hatches and want to stay in the division. I'm hoping we would do a little bit better than that, Pat, to be honest.
Well, there's a difference of opinion there, and I can understand that. And but it's a rare difference of opinion between you two. So I acknowledge it.
You're getting out of control there, George.
Yeah, well, there you go. I knew that would happen. But anyhow, let me just summarise on what you're saying. Well, that Liam Miller could be available on a loan. That's not out of the question. And someone else said to me, well, actually, if we believe Parrott's going to be okay in a couple of months' time, perhaps we only need to take someone till the January. And of course, that's an option on a loan scheme. Now, Malumbi, certainly in the Brighton Argus, the manager has said he might be going out on loan again. I wonder whether it's worth putting a bid in for him, actually, because I think he'd come, and I don't think they could hold him to ransom on that either. So Malumbi's in that position.
And a loan signing, say, to January, that wouldn't be a problem, would it? I think that would work just as well, actually. Yeah. I'm sure we aren't flush with money, so I think that might be the best option.
Hey, Connor Wickham from Crystal Palace, maybe, eh?
Colin wouldn't be a bad shout.
Yeah. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for that, guys. And we'll take a break there and listen to the charitable tones of Patricia Maslin.
Hi, Patricia Maslin here. The Millwall Community Trust needs volunteer help. Whether you're an organisation with bodies able to assist or an individual, the Trust needs you during the current conditions to support the vulnerable and needy. If you can help make a difference or need help, please contact Sean Daly, the Trust's Chief Executive Officer, by phone on 07 958 027060. Once again, that's 07958 02 7060. Or contact by email sdaly, I'll spell that, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. I'll repeat that, sdaly, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. If you can, or you know someone or any organisation who might be able to help, please let the Community Trust know. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Eamon Barclay and I'm back with the No One Likes Us talking team of Patricia Maslin, James Kelly and George Lampy for the final length of the pool.
She sounds like such a nice girl when she talks like that, don't she?
Does she?
Yeah, oh, I'm 64.
Oh, dear. Dear. There you go.
We heard 53 early on.
Yeah.
That's 53.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's my waist size.
Oh, dear. It's getting worse and worse. Anyway, as I'm going to say, as we always do, people continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus, or as a consequence of suffering with it after 28 days. And many remain hospitalised too. Our thoughts go out to their families, friends and those that take care of them.
I'll be back hosting Bethany, Ted and Jeff next Friday as we continue to rely upon Carl Bates and the iFollow to watch the Lions. And don't forget you can help the club out by joining the Lions Loyalty Club. Just check it out on the Mill website. And that's good night from me.
A special series focusing on the role of the Millwall Community Trust released its 4th episode this week. The series focuses on what the Trust is, what it does, and how those that benefit from its work. The final episode will be released next Tuesday. Watch out for it on our Facebook and Twitter groups and other Millwall social media sites. And it's a good night from me and stay safe, everybody.
And player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available for the forthcoming season. Why not give them some added support? And you can find details on their website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you'll find them easily enough. We have led by example and sponsored their captain, Libby Stubbs. All our best wishes in recovering from injury, Libby. For now, it's good night from me.
Lastly, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there, which means social distancing, the rule of 6 only when it applies these days, and a face mask where necessary. Well, that's it from me. Thanks, Patricia, James and George. Until the next time, good night.
Good night.